Now that Terry McGinnis is back from the dead to become Batman, he might not be the only one. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, the most dramatic way to get your favorite comic books recapped back to you. You see, we know that there are a lot of comic books out there and they're expensive and you don't know which ones to buy, so we take your favorite comic book storylines, break them down into about 10-minute videos, add in some music, sound effects, and sometimes funny voices, and we dramatically recap them so you understand what's going on, allowing you to go out and buy the next issues. All alterations to the panel text and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now, in our last video, Batman Beyond Rebirth, Terry watches as members of the Joker's gang took and kidnapped his old girlfriend Dana. While out looking for clues, Terry ran into an enforcer of the Joker's gang and was beaten to the ground. However, over in the No Laughing Matter Club, Dana listens to a man known as Terminal as he tells her his plans on reviving the thought-to-be-dead Joker. Under a pile of bricks, the giant Joker thugs pull him down, and Terry tells himself, "Being Batman was supposed to be fun, but now I can hardly breathe or move." Max tries to call out to him over the comms, but there's too much debris on top of him and Terry can't even respond. The Joker thugs are beating him down, and that's the beginning of our story. Some of the Jokers start shouting to burn the pile with Batman in it. However, Terry has a new idea. With the little movement that he has in his hand, Terry begins to drop small explosive charges into a pipe next to him. As the charge makes its way into the ground, it explodes, launching Terry out of the pile of bricks. Back over in the Batcave, Matt, his little brother, shouts that the signals are coming back live. They've got a clear picture now, so go get him, bro! The giant thug runs in swinging at Terry, but Terry says that he may not sport the whole Joker's thing, but as Terry punches the thug, he realizes it's like punching a brick wall. Terry then asks if he wouldn't hit a guy with glasses. The thug begins to punch him into a nearby truck, and Terry says, "Oh, I guess I'll take that as a yes." The thug continues to beat on Terry, and all Terry can do is think about how he's out of practice. This shouldn't be happening. The thug then walks over, picking Terry up and squeezing and breaking his ribs. He struggles for a little bit, but with not much success, so he takes out a pair of batarangs and cuts the tubes feeding into the thug's muscles. With no juice left, the thug stumbles back, and Terry grabs a sewer lid to hit him. But then he hears more of the Joker's gang coming. They begin to chant, "Kill the Bat!" and they swing their knives and their bats. Terry manages to fend off the attackers, but one cuts into the back of his shoulder. More and more thugs begin to crawl out, all grabbing and holding Terry down. In a desperate attempt to break free, Terry releases an electric shock, throwing the thugs back. However, it doesn't take long for them to get back up and bring Terry down again. With no chance of winning the fight, Terry rockets himself into the air and he heads back to the Batcave. As Matt watches on the computer, he asks, how could Terry let them do that to him? Max tells him to give him a break, the odds were overwhelming, and Terry steps in saying no. What it came down to is the fact that I wasn't ready to become Batman again. I only recently came back from being dead. He got arrogant instead of recognizing the seriousness of it all and handling it like Bruce taught him. Max asks him, who? And Terry says Wayne. Matt jumps in, stating that that was supposed to be a secret, but Terry hugs his brother Matt, telling him it's okay. They can trust Max, since he brought her here anyway. He goes on, this job might be a little bit too much for Batman. And Matt sulks at that response, telling him, don't be a quitter. A few moments later, Terry calls out that he just said that this is a fight that Batman couldn't do. And he steps out wearing clown makeup, telling Matt, I didn't say anything about not joining the Jokers. A little while later, the Batmobile flies through the Joker's town, firing down on some of the thugs from the Joker's club. As the thugs fire back, the Batmobile shoots off into the sky and Matt shouts, look out! Max tells him that she hasn't had much experience flying this thing, so give her a break. Plus, they have to make their plan look legit. Back on the rooftop, the large Joker thug from before grabs an air conditioning unit and throws it up into the air, hitting the Batmobile. As Max tries to stabilize the Batmobile, Terminal steps up onto the roof with a gun to Dana, shouting that unless he's gone in 5 seconds, the girl dies! A voice then tells Terminal, why let him go? There's no way that you could bring him down with those dinky pop guns. Terminal looks up and sees Terry. And Terry goes on stating, I'm a friend with a toy that rips. Terry lines up a shot and he fires a bazooka at the Batmobile. Terminal watches as the missile flies through the air, hitting the Batmobile, and he asks, you. And Terry stops him, telling him, I got you. You just needed the right tool for the right job. Over in the Batmobile, Matt says the fireworks look like a real explosion, and then Max flies down onto the ground. Terminal continues to watch, stating, that can't be that easy. And Terry asks, what, you think the Bat bailed? Terminal tells him that he's not sure, and then the giant thug from before starts to crawl back up onto the roof. Terry helps him up, and the thug says that he's never seen him before. And Terry tells him, I'm just a friend, been in criminal modification therapy. Terminal steps up to him, telling him, no one just gets to drop in and claim he's in the club. Terry goes on to tell him, I figured my last name might help me open up the clubhouse doors. My father was Trey Malone, though You may have known him as Matches. Terminal tells him, I didn't know Matches had a kid. And as they go on, Dana listens, specifically listening to Terry, and realizing that is Terry and he's alive. Afterwards, Terminal takes Terry and the rest and they head over to the No Laughing Matter Club where he begins to get to know Terry. But while Dana tries to figure out why Terry would be back after so long, she finds herself not being watched and she slips down through the back. Everyone does start to take notice, so Terminal calls up for the large thug to go out and get her. Before he can go though, Terry steps in front of him telling him to give him a chance to show off his talents. Terminal tells him, alone you don't. Everyone is getting on the streets. After a bit of running, Dana starts to navigate through the Joker's town back alleyway until she runs into someone. As she falls, the person asks if she's out of her mind, and when she looks back up, Dana says that she knows who he is. Please just don't. Terry grabs her and tells her, be quiet, I'm here to help you. Now just play along and we'll get you out of here alive. Some of the other thugs show up shouting that it's time to kill her, but Terry stops them telling them, sure, but I'm pretty sure we have to ask the boss first. He was keeping her alive for something, right? Back at the club, Terry and the rest of the gang enter and Terminal says how blessed they are to have someone so talented just fall into our laps. Go ahead and take her upstairs. Terry begins pulling Dana away, but once they get upstairs, Dana stops him asking if it's really him. How is it even possible that Terry is back from the dead? Terry grabs her telling her to relax and he'll explain everything when the time is right. Right now, they just have to wait for his backup. As Dana gets close, she says that she still can't believe it's him. If only he knew what the Jokers are really up to. Terry asks her, what do you mean? And Dana goes on to explain that Terminal is actually their old friend Carter from back at high school. He always wanted to prove that he was the smartest, and now he's going to prove it by bringing the dead back to life. Dana unlocks the screen before them and Terry sees the Joker's body. She continues, yes, though cryogenically preserved, Terminal is on the verge of bringing him back. Terry stares, asking, why would he want to bring back the most heinous man ever? Terminal's voice then asks, why? Just to prove that I can. They both turn back and Terry and Dana see Terminal holding an old hollow photo of them in high school, and Terminal stating, I knew you back in high school. I was happy when I heard that you died. Terminal then throws the photo into the wall, breaking it, and he shouts, what's your story then? Are you a cop? More of a threat? Terry pulls back his arm and he grits his teeth, telling him, I'm the guy who's gonna stop you. But before he can punch, the large thug from before punches into Terry, telling him, Terminal tells him, you can't be a cop, you're working with Batman. That would be the only way to explain the stunt from before. While Terminal goes on, Terry fights back against the big thug, but before reaching Dana, Terminal punches him and the large thug grabs and locks him into place. Terminal then says, it's a shame that you won't get to see what comes from my efforts. It's time for you both to go to the wall. A short while later, Matt sneaks closer to the club when he sees Terry and Dana hanging from the club building upside down. The large thug asks if the pebbles are ready, and another one says, yep, filled with acid. He then tells everyone to fire, and soon all of the men release their slingshots, shooting acid-filled pebbles up at Terry and Dana. Meanwhile, back inside, Terminal stares at the Joker's room and he tells the janitor to go on and leave. When the janitor leaves, Terminal heads into the cryo room and he says, can't let anyone see you and realize that you're in fact alive. He holds out the Joker's hand to scan over the belongings, and he says, I'm sure you would appreciate the greatest joke of them all. The device scans, and Terminal goes on. They all think that I'm bringing the Joker back to life, but the truth is, he's long dead. The scan completes and it says, transfer complete. You have received payment from Bruce Wayne. Back outside, all of the members of the Joker's gang begin to fire their slingshots, pelting Terry with acid-filled pellets. While everyone continues to bring more pellets over to shoot, Matt sneaks around the crowd and he makes his way into the club. Terry continues to try and struggle and he manages to pull out a knife, and after cutting himself free, Terry starts to work on Dana's ropes and the large thug shouts, no one even frisked him? Once free, Terry tells Dana to hold onto him while he pulls them back, and as they get closer, one of the thugs leans over the ledge with a gun. Terry quickly throws his knife into the gunman's shoulder, and Matt wrestles down the second individual. The other man starts to take Matt's bag, but before he can, Terry runs in, punching him to the ground. He shouts at Matt, asking what he's even doing here, and Matt hands over the bag, telling him, we found something. Terry pulls out another batsuit, and Dana stares, and then asks if he's... Terry tells her that he didn't want her to find out this way. He was going to find the right moment to tell her, but now is not the time to discuss it. Just then, the Jokers begin to fill the rooftop as Terry jumps in at the attackers. The Jokers turn their guns towards Dana and Matt, and without a second thought, Terry jumps in the way, shielding them. He wasn't 100% sure how the new suit would work, but it did seem to do the trick of blocking the shots. One of the Jokers shouts that they need to get the roasters, and Terry begins to think that he should probably end this. From his belt, he pulls out 2 small pills, and he asks if these could really be grenades. So he throws them, and after they explode, he says, I'm kinda glad I didn't swallow those. As more and more thugs fall, the large thug grabs Dana and shouts for Terry not to to get any closer, and Terry asks, "Closer? I don't need to be." From the back of Terry's hand, a flap opens and small batarangs fire out and they land right into the thug's arm. He stumbles backwards, so then Terry runs in punching him, telling him, "We met the other day after you buried me," which clearly was not very neighborly of you. Terry finishes up, and then down below, the janitor runs in telling Terminal that Batman is here, and he just took out the whole crew. Terminal says, "I can't be interfered with now. Go get the flyer." Back up top, after knocking everyone out, Dana asks how long has he been, and Terry tells her, since high school. She realizes that he's been lying for years, and then she tells him that if he says he didn't tell her for her own good, she'll... But Matt stops them, saying that they can deal with this stuff later. Terminal's downstairs. The three of them run down the stairs into the cryo room where the Joker was being held. However, as Terry looks at the skaters, he sees that the person being held there was actually Bruce Wayne, which means Bruce is alive. Bruce was thought to be lost when Brother Eye first attacked. The bunker was attacked, and when Terry went to search, he couldn't find anyone alive. Not a single person. A short while later, Terry headed over to the Wayne Powers building, and Max asked what could Terminal want with Bruce. He says that his guess would be that he's looking for the Keystone, something that no one should even know about. The Keystone is the world's ultimate intel gathering device, and if Terminal can get his hands on that. Meanwhile, down in the building, Terminal says that he's on the cusp of having everything. The janitor asks what could be more important than bringing back the Joker, and Terminal walks off telling him, "You're too much of a simpleton to realize where we are. We're here for one thing." He goes on, "I told the Jokers that I was going to bring back the Joker so that he could amass an army of acolytes, all to keep Wayne alive." The janitor then asks, "That means that this man isn't the Joker?" And Terminal tells him, "No, that's Bruce Wayne. Why would anyone want to bring that Joker back? The world is far better without him." As the two continue to walk, the janitor pulls Bruce and he asks, "Why would you want to do this then? To take all of Wayne's fortunes?" Terminal tells him that's part of it, but the real goal is the Keystone. The door that they are standing in front of then asks for an authentication scan, so Terminal props Bruce's body up for the retina scan. Once it's done, it says that the subject is fully authenticated. "Welcome back, Bruce Wayne." It then opens and Terminal sees Terry and shouts, "Batman!" Terry tells him, "Yup. Once I realized that you had Wayne under your control, I figured that you would be smart enough to know about the Keystone." Terry then runs in, tackling and throwing Terminal to the ground. He jumps up, telling him that he thought that he was a man of limited resources, but you were wrong. Terminal pulls his belt off, wrapping it around Terry's neck, and Terry says that a belt won't, but then a current runs through the belt, shocking Terry. Terminal shouts that he won't be cheated when he's this close. However, as the two of them fight, the janitor takes out Bruce's tubes, telling him, "It's time to wake up. I wouldn't want you to miss what's about to happen, old friend." The janitor then pushes Bruce's hover chair towards the open windows, and Bruce mumbles, "That voice." He pushes the chair out the window, and Terry charges in, jumping after it. Once he's fully awake, Bruce tells Terry, "Forget me. We can't let those two escape." After grabbing the chair before it lands, Bruce shouts, "I told you to leave me." And Terry tells him, "It's nice to see you too, old buddy." While the janitor flies Terminal away, on another building, Max tells Matt that they're almost within range. He then locks on with his rocket launcher and tells her not to worry. They aren't getting anywhere. And he fires. The rocket flies, hitting the aircraft, and Max says that they're still airborne, but they shouldn't get too far. Back in the Wayne's Powers building, Terry gets Bruce back up, and without any talk, Bruce says that they need to get to the terminal. Terry takes off his mask, telling him that he just needs to relax, be human for 1 second, and embrace the fact that, I don't know, you're alive? For once, the bad guys can wait. Bruce tries to stop him, but Terry goes on, telling him, "It's a great day. You're back and the Joker's still dead." But Bruce stares at Terry's eyes and he tells him about that. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of Gotham, Terminal begins to look over the aircraft, stating that him and the janitor need to hurry. They need to get this back into the air. The janitor tells him, "No doubt. But really, you were a fool to think that you could beat Wayne." While still looking at the ship, Terminal tells him, "Talk like that again and you're a dead man. Now get a crowbar so that we can take this thing apart." The janitor grabs a crowbar and he says, "It was crazy to use the Joker's name like that. You should know. Besides, no one uses the Joker's name." The janitor then lifts the crowbar up, and he begins beating Terminal's head in until there's nothing but blood and brain tissue dropping from the end of it. He then begins to pull down his hood and he says, "No one uses my name!" So I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited that we finally have a Batman Beyond comic book that actually brings back Terry, Bruce Wayne, and follows up with a lot of the old storylines. I just want to see what's going to happen here, and the fact that they're bringing back the Joker in a unique and fun way, I want to know the story behind this. If you also want to know, don't forget you can subscribe to this channel to keep up to date in your favorite DC comic books and Marvel comic books and other comic books, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Comicstorian. I'll see you next time right here.